It is Thursday, February 23rd, and the Give and Go show is back in your life, as is the NBA season. We just got done with the All-Star break. We've been off for about a week, and we're back. Games are resuming tonight. We've got about 20 to 22 games left for the NBA regular season, depending on which team we're talking about. Very, very tight race in the Western Conference, as we were just talking about before we started this recording. We've also got a pretty tight a pretty tight race in the Eastern Conference for some of the top seeds. The Celtics were ahead by a lot, and the Bucks are now one game behind them after a 12-game win streak.
12-game winning streak will do that.
A 12-game winning streak will do that. Yeah. What's up, Frantinos?
I think it's a half game. So
it's a half game.
Yeah. Because 42 and 17,
it's a half
41
game.
and 17.
Sure. Yeah, they're a half game behind. Basically, the results of the next couple games could flip this. The Bucks could be the one seed again, and then I think if that happens, we are going to be having a Giannis MVP discussion again. Before we get going, my name is Griffin Queen. As always, I'm joined by Matt Modi and Matt Ferentinos. We're not going to be here too long today, but we're going to talk about the All-Star break. We're going to talk about where the standings are right now, and we are going to talk about Russell Westbrook and his move to the Clippers. So let's start with that. Modi and I were talking about this a little bit on Twitter because I have the take that if there is a good situation in the NBA for Russell Westbrook, and there's probably, in my opinion, 3 or 4, the Clippers were probably at the top of that list. Modi, I know you disagree with this take.
No. I don't disagree that if there was a good situation, the Clippers was on that list. That because they needed a point guard.
Sure.
My problem is they don't need a Russell Westbrook type point guard. Like,
sure,
if we can put on our KOC hat and be like, if he just does all this stuff that he's never done in his career, then sure. Like he is a good passer. The problem is he shoots his teams out of games, and he's like a stat patter and all that stuff. But like, yeah, if they get the floor general Russell Westbrook, who doesn't take like mid-range shots with 18 seconds on the shot clock, that make you just want to blow your brains out.
Yeah.
And if he understands that, like in terms of the pecking order, he should get the third most shots, then yeah, I mean, I think it absolutely could work. I'm just like, I would like to have seen that at some point in my life. And like, he shot more than Bradley Beal, and Bradley Beal's a better scorer. He shot more than Kevin Durant. Obviously, Kevin Durant's better. So I just like, he looks at Kawhi and PG and says like, oh, nice, like a nice B and C option for me. Like that's going to be sick.
Yeah, I don't even know. So necessarily, I don't think I necessarily believe he should even be their third scorer. You know, I'd probably take Zubac over him. I probably would not take Marcus Morris over him because he's kind of a guy that needs the ball in specific places. He's not Marcus Morris of a few years ago. But we talked about this a little bit on Twitter. Part of the biggest downside to Russell Westbrook when we were talking about him over the past few years is the amount of money associated with him and the cap hit associated with them. He was costing them $47 million, whether it was the Wizards, the Lakers, the Rockets, or the end of that Thunder term. Yeah. That's a significant cap hit that prevents you from having good players around you. I think he's only costing the Clippers a few $1 million because he got bought out by the Jazz. And so if we're going to get a different version of Russell Westbrook, and I'm not saying that we are, but if we are going to get it, it's going to be because he understands that, like, if this doesn't work, this is it. They can cut him at any time because any team can take a loss of a few $1 million if it means ensuring their contender status. Outside of that, you know, he's got better shooters next to him than he's had. Probably he had some good shooters that Rockets year, the Wizards year, bad shooters, the Lakers, atrocious shooters. The best shooter on the court with him at any given time was probably LeBron James. And LeBron's a decent shooter, but he should not be your best off-ball option. Yeah, you're not kicking it out to LeBron James. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But Kawhi is a good shooter.
Westbrook, it does.
To Russell Westbrook, it does. To everybody watching Russell Westbrook, it sure doesn't. I don't know. I think there is a potential fit there. I'm obviously not like, I'm not saying that this is going to be the thing that wins the Clippers a title. And I definitely got up my own ass about what I thought he was going to do for the Lakers, despite the fact that I hated him on the Wizards. So I don't really know where it came from. But with the market and the way it was and the point guards that were available, I think the Clippers could have done a lot worse than a Russell Westbrook who doesn't cost them any money and who apparently their star players want to play with.
That's what's funny to me is like, I guess stars just love, sorry to interrupt you. You can go out, but like stars just love other stars. Like, it's just funny to me. Like LeBron obviously like wanted the trade for him. Like Paul George re-signed in OKC because he like loved playing with.
This is Paul George's second time making a play for Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
So like whatever and they didn't have a great fit last time. It wasn't a bad fit, but they were injured at different times.
Yeah, it was a weird, like that was a good team, but it was a weird good team when there's like 2 years in Oklahoma City, right?
2 years, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just find that funny. Like stars just love other stars. Like they're just view themselves and like, oh, well, this person's like also in the same breath as like we're all superstars. So they just like can relate to them more. But I always find that funny.
I'm so curious what would happen if Allen Iverson were in the league today. Like,
yeah,
would he be well liked by his teammates? Would everyone hate him for being a smaller Russell Westbrook? Like, how's that going to work out for a modern day AI? He could shoot until he couldn't.
And so his body broke down at like 29.
He broke down so quickly, and the defense was never there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think defense and people switching on him would be the thing, is that his career might be even shorter. I still think peak AI would probably still win the scoring title, like in modern NBA. But the problem is his insane athleticism when he was younger would definitely like benefit, and teams could use that on defense. But yeah, as he aged, it would just, dudes would just pull up and get in the mismatch in the paint. It would be over.
I mean, after seeing Isaiah Thomas, the more recent one on the Celtics, drop like 40 points per game in the playoffs, there's absolutely like a 5 to 10 year stretch where prime AI is part of the superstars running the league. But I think him running off of screens and everything for 82 games of the year, like he's probably fading even quicker than he did in the ISO era.
I was gonna say he might just load manage. You know, he might play.
I don't know. I don't
year.
see him being the type. It's like, I mean, I guess because
Mikal
you're transporting
Bridges
him
is like the only dude who plays every game.
Yeah,
and Anthony Edwards.
And Anthony Edwards.
That's actually.
I mean, there are some like non-stars that play every game. We just don't talk about them.
Jokic is an Iron Man. He never sits.
Yeah. There was like a 7 or 8 year stretch where DeAndre Jordan played 81 games plus per season. I think he missed one game because he was like sick.
Those Clippers years, yeah.
He had a really, really long run where he did not miss a game, and guys were beating the dog shit out of him every night. Gortat didn't miss a game for like 10 years. Like, there's a lot of centers who don't have like super highly mobile styles who will play every game, and then they'll hit like 31 and they will implode. Like everything stops working.
That's actually something that while we're talking about it, like, what did you guys think of Anthony Edwards' comments? Like, I understand his point where if you're 70%, whatever, you should play, because like someone might only have enough money to come to one game. And if you miss, that sucks. I understand it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I'm just curious what you guys think.
What did he say? He just said that players should be playing more and things like that.
So yeah,
basically
someone asked him like what he would change, and he just said he wishes people would play more. And he used the exact argument, like, if someone might have only money to play or to come to one game, and even if you're 70%, you should play, basically was his argument. And Griffin, I don't know if there's anything to add, but that's what I
No, that was essentially it. And I mean, Ferentinos, I'll let you give your take, but
yeah, I was just going to say, I think just spreading out games and having less of them is probably the thing to do. I mean, the thing with sports is we want more and more and more, but that wear and tear is just worse on the players. And I mean, it might also be a thing that these players are playing way more serious basketball from a way younger age. And so like the constant wear and tear before they're even pros gets on their body. That could impact it too. But I think just generally, like, the more you play, the more you're going to get hurt. So if it was something where they eliminated back-to-backs and didn't make their schedules that crazy and they could play every game, that'd be more realistic. But, I also kind of agree, like, people are very easy to sit out games and they don't really take the regular season seriously. I think there's been a lot of injuries, but I feel like it's not just the Clippers that are kind of coasting through the regular season now. So
I disagree with Anthony Edwards.
So do I.
Okay. I agree with his overarching point. Players should play more. I think he makes his point because he's 21, 22 years old, and he's still basically in that point in his life where he's invulnerable and invincible, and he can do anything and bounce back the next day. And that's great. And I'm happy for him that he's in that position. When Anthony Edwards is pushing 30 or on the wrong side of 30, I think we need to have this conversation again and see how he feels about it at that time. But That being said, there are guys, and I mean, one of the biggest players in the league, LeBron James, played as many games as they possibly could have. I'm looking at LeBron's stats right now, not counting the shortened season in 2011, 2012. The only season until he got hurt in 2018, 2019, where LeBron played under 70 games, he played 69 games for the 2014, 2015 Cavs.
And that's when he had that back injury. Like people were like worried, like, oh, is this the end of LeBron because of this back injury?
He'd be sitting in timeouts and like laying on ice on his back. Like,
and he played 69 games. Like,
not only is that the only time he played under 70 prior to the injury in 2019, it's the only time he played under 74, and he only played 74 once. He played a lot of 79s. He played a bunch of 80s and 81s. Like, if
still
the
can't get
superstar talent that is LeBron James can play that many games, we do need to have a conversation about stars in particular resting more often than they should. And I understand these guys are playing for the playoffs, but I think that gets back to the rings discussion a little bit, and like the winner's mentality discussion when it comes to sports like basketball, where we have devalued the entertainment aspect of basketball in pursuit of the only thing that matters is winning. And that's not the case, because if that is the way that we treat it, the league's going to stop generating the revenue it currently does, because eventually people are going to get bored with this product. If you know that LeBron James or Kevin Durant or Steph Curry or whoever else is only going to play 45 to 55 games a season, you're not going to buy tickets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I feel like that's already starting to happen in the regular season. Just like nobody cares about the regular season anymore. I think the flip side of that is like, and this was obviously there's a lot of factors that went into this, but like we don't want to have the playoff run that we've had the past like 3 years, where it's like every single important series is highlighted by an injury, and like you could make the dumb Mickey Mouse argument for the Bucks winning, for not really for the Warriors, but like people like Grizzlies fans will say, well, Ja Morant missed like the last half of that series. And then like the other side, obviously Chris Middleton missed the entire Celtics series. That's the one. Like you could make the argument that an injury has like heavily impacted the last 2 playoff runs, more so than I can remember in recent memory. Like I don't remember.
I mean, you said not the Warriors. If you want to make the argument that the Suns had COVID and that's why they absolutely collapsed those last 2 games, it's the Suns playing the Warriors instead of the Mavericks, and that's a far better built team than the Mavericks going up against the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the Warriors don't still win that, but playing a team that was built around one player versus a team that had 4 or 5 deep starters and then a solid bench, that's a longer series probably for the Warriors.
Yeah, you're right. And if you look at the Warriors run, round 1, Nuggets with only Jokic, no Jamal Murray, no Michael Porter Jr. Round 2, Ja Morant gets hurt. Was it game 4? I think I could game 3 or 4.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And then against the Mavs, who didn't have a serious injury, but like they were happy that the Mavs beat the Suns.
The Mavs were a one-man team, and they were great for being a one-man team, but they probably shouldn't have been at that point regardless. They got real lucky to get there.
And then the year before, the Suns beat the corpse of the Lakers, who like Anthony Davis hurt his groin. They beat the Nuggets without Jokic, and then they beat the Clippers without Kawhi. It's like that is what these players are trying to avoid, is having that happen in the playoffs. So to me,
we can go back 8 or 9 years doing this. We can do it with that first Cavs Warriors series where the second best player on the court was Matthew Dellavedova. Like
Kyrie ankle. Do you mean the Brooklyn Nets against the Bucks or the Cavs?
We're not talking about the Nets, We're talking about something that
I thought we were talking about injuries heavily impacting.
I mean,
sure. But we're talking specifically about Kyrie breaking his knee. I don't even remember what happened.
I think it was his kneecap.
Was it his kneecap? Right. I think he broke his kneecap, which is an insane injury. By the way, that must hurt so fucking bad.
Sounds not fun. It sounds not fun. But yeah, so I feel like the NBA will never do this because all these leagues care about is money, but you have to have less games. You have to have less games. Like if you want players to play in every game, like you have to have less games. Like nobody misses an NFL game because of load management, because there's only 17. So make it the game 10 games less.
So let's do this right here on the pod. Let's do this for 5 minutes, and we can do an episode at some point where we fix the NBA, because I know we can do it. If you're improving the season just off the top of your head, and you're making the regular season matter again, you're getting guys to the playoffs healthy, Modi, what exactly are you doing to make that happen? Because I've got some ideas, but I'm sure you've got some too.
the
And
first thing
Ferentinos,
is
of course.
the first thing is less games.
Yeah.
I'm taking away I'm taking away 10 games. I'm also taking away the play-in.
So you're playing 72?
Playing 72. Yeah, I need to like, I know Bill Simmons, I think, has actually done like the schedule of what 72 games would look like with no back-to-backs. I'll hire some IT guy to put the schedule together for me. But I think the first round, and I don't know how strongly I feel about this, but some of them don't need to be 7-game series. Like, we don't need to see the Bucks play the Bulls in the first round of it. Like, make it.
I feel like I remember it being 5.
It was.
Kids.
It was.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the problem with that is there are some awesome first round series. So it's almost like you obviously can't, but you want to pick and choose. Okay, this one will go like this one will give 7 games. This one will only get 5. But I do think the majority of first round series can just be 5-game series. Like, we don't need to see the Warriors play the freaking Clippers without like.
I mean, I think
go for it.
Really, just because it's on the same thing. What devalues the regular season is the fact that everyone makes the fucking playoffs.
Yeah.
It's the top.
Get
10
rid of the play-in.
teams.
Less teams.
Conference.
Less
like
teams.
it should be.
Get rid of the
top
See,
6.
I'm fine keeping the play-in, but I think it should be top 6 and 7 and 8 have a chance to make it.
Yeah. Okay. I can get on board with that.
Yeah, because it should be like the top, at least the top third or close to the top third of teams. Like, otherwise, what's the play for in your conference?
We currently have, if you consider the play-ins as part of the playoffs, fully 2/3 of the league make the playoff right now, and that ridiculous. That's so bad. I mean, when we add 2 more teams, sure, that percentage will drop a little bit, but that's still a joke.
It's ridiculous.
And the thing is, the Western Conference might just, because you can argue with the parity, and there are a lot more teams that are maybe deserving. But I was going to say, I think this like final stretch in the West, they're going to advertise the shit out of it as like, race to the playoffs, blah, 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 because there are so many teams that do have a legitimate chance. So it's exciting in that part, but I think just overall to make it better, like it really does devalue the playoffs and the regular season when you have 2/3 of the teams making it. Like there's no point. That's why baseball, I don't know.
To your point, Modi, about dropping it, you said 10 games. I would say drop it 14 games because you're playing every team in your conference. So 15 right now, this makes sense. But once they add 2 more teams, it won't make as much sense. Right now, you're playing every team in your conference. I think if they're in your division, you play them 4 times. If they're outside your division, you play them 3 times.
Yeah.
Just drop your entire conference by 1 game. So you play everybody in your conference. If you play everybody in your division twice, and then you play everyone that's not in your division 3 times. So you're playing 68 games rather than 82. You start the season roughly the same time. You end the season roughly the same time. You've right there in one fell swoop eliminated back-to-backs, because I think teams get between 7 and 12 back-to-backs per year. Maybe you extend the All-Star break by a few more days. So they get, maybe you have a different break outside of the All-Star break. You have a 4 or 5 day break, just, the first half of the season.
Yeah. Talking about what players want. It's like players want time. I think that's the thing. Like
but players also want money, and they will make less money if they
That's the problem. That's why this will never happen. Because the less games,
at least in the short term, until prices kind of adjust to make up for the fact that there's less to go around.
Yeah, I mean, if every player played in the regular season, they could sell more tickets. Like, that's just is what it is. Like, tickets will go for more money. Like, NFL tickets are on average.
Games will sell out more because you're increasing scarcity.
Yeah, and you're just like, if you just want to use the argument that you're just drumming up more excitement in general in the league, like more people watch. If more people watch the games, then like, the volume or the number of games goes down, but the viewership goes up. So like, you're still probably at a net negative, but you've increased the value of your product. And then like again, we don't have numbers around this, but like, how does that relate to jersey sales and like merchandise? Like, it just, I don't know, it just makes the sport more popular. Not like, there are a lot of people that, and I'm kind of guilty of this, that just like, it's hard for me to really care until the playoffs start. Cause like, it's like, I mean, the Sixers are like an incredible team that everybody's like, it doesn't matter. Like, show me the playoffs. Doesn't, like, I don't care. And that was like what the Bucks were like pre-championship.
As a fan of a team that wins nothing in the playoffs, obviously meaning the Wizards, not the Lakers, because it's 17 rings. I would argue that and this is the case for me in baseball too, I care too much about individual wins and losses. And I understand that I'm in such a small minority where I watch basically every single game for my team, with the exception of like when I'm so burnt out because I just can't watch, an 11-game losing streak. But like, I do the same thing with baseball. There's 162 baseball games or 160 baseball games. I probably watch 130 plus Nats games a year. but it's
That's
background
insane.
noise. So I'm not watching it the
Yeah.
way that a lot of people, like, I'm not going to a game. I'm not actively engaged in it. I watch more than anybody else. And I understand that, like, that's not the way that people view the games. So you need less games, because why would anyone care?
Yeah.
Good question.
There's an argument to be made. If you want to go really fucking far with this, you play everyone in your conference twice, you play everyone in the other conference twice. That's it. You're done. 60 games or 58 or whatever it would end up being.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
Speaking
You,
of
you get a home and
yeah.
away with every single team, and that's it.
Speaking of not giving a shit, All-Star Weekend happened this past weekend.
And no one cared about it.
Another
Yeah.
thing that needs Another thing that needs fixing is
Like
also
literally
weekend.
on
I
Zach
mean, they've
Lowe, they were
tried.
talking about it. They're like, why was the game so much better like 2 years ago? And it was because it was the Kobe game. Like
'Cause
that's
Kobe
the only
died.
reason they gave a shit is because
Yeah.
Kobe actually cared. So in like
It
they
was
played for
first.
Kobe,
It was
but
the
now
Kobe
they don't give a
game.
fuck.
First, it was the
Like-
Kobe game, and then it was the LeBron and Giannis on the court at the same time in the fourth quarter. And I think it's so dependent on who's on the court to close a game that determines like how it ends. Because
But it was literally
Giannis
just
was trying to
layup
win that game.
lines. Yeah, they
it,
said they
it was
had.
gross.
They
Everyone's
said
like,
that
Jason Tatum scored 55 points. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. You let
Kevin
Jason
Hart could've
Tatum
scored
walk to the
55
basket.
points.
Yeah,
He, like,
He had a layup line.
yeah, anyone can do that. Like,
Yeah.
they decided, he got hot early in the game, and this happens in a lot of all-star games, so it is what it is. Whoever gets hot first is the guy that gets the ball for the rest of the game, and everyone just gets out of. There's times where there's
See, when you're
pictures
shooting
of him.
uncontested shots.
Yeah, there's pictures of him not even with an open lane, with literally nobody, not in the
frame.
paint, not inside the arc, basically barely on the court, because they funnel off to the sides, and it's
Luka
Jason
was
Tatum
mic'd up.
walking to a dunk. Like, what are we doing?
Luka was like talking and having conversations while playing in a
Yeah.
game.
Which again, like, that would be cool if you're hearing him like calling things out to his teammates, and like,
yeah,
it's
like if it was
that
a
kind
real
of thing.
game mic'd up situation where it's like all you hear is just the game shit that they talk about.
Yeah,
like,
you hear a
that's
guy
cool.
calling out plays, you hear a guy calling out defensive positions. Like, if it's that's so cool. When they do
Yeah.
shit like that, it's awesome.
I
But
would
if
have
it's
loved
him
to
just
have
shooting the
heard.
shit, like, just
So
fuck
you know
off, man.
the Ben Simmons free throw story where we read it this
Bradley
morning.
Beal?
The
Brad Beal,
Bradley
yeah,
Beal
that's
thing.
hilarious.
He's like, man, I'm sick of you fuckers fouling me. It's like, I'll bet 10K that I'll hit this free throw. And Bradley Beal was like, want to make it 20?
You know how many free throws Ben
Simmons
Simmons shot in
If
that
that
game?
was on mic'd up, like that would be an all-time gif. Like
It's 40, right? Or he's like 20 of 40.
No, in that game he was 16 of 29.
ugh.
Because
Which sounds good for Ben Simmons.
It is officially at the point where it is no longer a positive. If they hit 50%,
Because
or I guess 50% plus one, then it's no longer a valid strategy. But they took him so out of his game that, like, I think it was like a 3.5 hour long game or something like that. Like, it's crazy.
There was one, I thought maybe I'm misremembering.
They also did it to him in the playoffs. The Wizards have done this to him twice. They did it to him in the regular season in 2017 when he was still a good player. And then they did it to him in the playoffs.
Like 2021, like the COVID.
The year
post bubble year.
The year that y'all beat the Wizards 4-1.
Scott Brooks really ended this man's career.
Yeah, I mean, he showed the rest of the league what they had to do. Even when he was hitting 50% of them, like, you just destroyed his game.
I would love it if he even came close to making one. Like, usually centers will like have that like, okay, I know it's gonna hit the backboard, but at least it goes like up, and like his shit is bricks that I've never seen in my life. It's
this conversation has taken a turn. I can't believe
it's like a guy shooting with his offhand.
This started with us talking about Russell Westbrook. It's ending with us talking about Ben Simmons. That's like the most on-brand shit.
I know, and everything in between doesn't matter.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit. Again, I said we'll have an episode at some point where we talk about ways to fix the league, because I think there are fixable ways to do it without having and you also have to take into consideration like loss of revenue. There's ways to do this taking in consideration loss of revenue. We'll do an episode on that at some point. Maybe we'll get somebody else to come on and we'll do it like a list night thing, do 5 picks for each of us or something like that.
Hey, we got to get a list night guest on the show.
We'll have a list night give and go crossover.
Let's talk a little bit about the playoff races in the East and the West, just really quickly. I'm not going to run down every single one of these teams. Obviously, there's some contenders, there's some pretenders. But when you look at the 4 seed or the 5 seed, excuse me, in the Eastern Conference right now, it's the Brooklyn Nets. And then you look at, God, how far down can we go? Look at the 12 seed, Indiana. They're at 26 wins. Brooklyn's at 34 wins. That's basically the range of people that I think can fall into and out of the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. Looking at that list of potential playoff contenders, who do y'all see falling out? Do you see anybody getting in? Do you see Orlando getting in, or the Pacers, or the Bulls? What's the final playoff kind of structure going to look like in the East?
I could see Atlanta getting another interim coach bump.
Oh yeah, they do love that. They do love that.
Like,
It's just cyclical.
Just a
Get
fresh
Lloyd
eyes
Pierce
just
out there
sitting
again.
But I could see. I mean, I think the Bulls are just going to completely drop off. Lonzo Ball's not coming back now for the year. They just kind of suck. I think they're going to drop off. I think the Nets will surprise people and hold their spot. I think the lowest.
You think they're going to stay the 5th seed?
Lowest they'll drop is the 7, but I think they'll stay at the 5th seed.
The 7, I mean, that's totally doable because they're,
which is just a few games back. Like
it's a
Miami,
3.5 game or 2.5 game bump.
Yeah. I mean, they're 5 games ahead of Atlanta right now, and Atlanta's in the 8th seed.
But I mean, we haven't talked, but Bridges did get 45 points in his last game for the Nets. So as much as they don't want to talk about them, like that was encouraging. And I do think, Jacques Vaughn is a really good coach. And when he figures out how he can play these guys and what minutes they can play, I mean, they were doing pretty good when it was just Kyrie for a while. And there were some other injuries there with other rotation players that were out. But I think they're still going to be one of the at least stronger teams out of this bottom half of the Eastern Conference.
I think they'll be an annoying first round out for whoever they play. Like it's going to be an annoying 6-game series.
They're going to
you know what the ideal series is, right? Sixers in the 3 seed, Brooklyn in the 6 seed.
It would have been a lot better if Ben Simmons played basketball.
Sure.
All of the excitement about that matchup, like KD's gone, Kyrie's gone, like nobody like that's not an exciting matchup anymore because Ben Simmons doesn't play.
Do you think they sit Simmons for that entire series? If they do you think they just take the L?
Great.
I mean, like if he's legitimately out of the rotation between now and then, and they don't drop to the play-in, then they probably found something that kind of works.
Sure.
And maybe for like, I don't know, like defensive specialty, if they need, like they just, I don't know, but they have so many good defenders on the team now. Like they have like
really don't need them on defense.
Here's my follow-up question. Let's say hypothetically, and I don't want to put this into the universe because I know it'll upset you. Say hypothetically the Nets beat the Sixers in this situation. Does Ben Simmons, even if he doesn't play in the series, give a post-series interview where he claims credit?
Oh, the amount of shit that he's going to talk if that happens, even if he plays 0 minutes, he will absolutely.
Does nothing.
He's going to show up in like one of those stupid outfits like that have like he looks like a tie dye. Like remember that when he showed up to the first Sixers game, like that stupid ass. That's what he's going to look like. Like he's on top of the world. Now, honestly, like that's fine. If that happens, he deserves to talk all the shit he wants. Even though he had no part of it, his team beat the other team.
It is just crazy because I feel like ownership definitely wants his trade value to increase. And like one of the best moves might literally be just sitting him out being like, yeah, he actually had an injury or whatever. And then just giving it a little bit.
He did have an injury. He had the back injury. Just say, even if it's not true, just say the back has been an issue this entire time. That's why he has no mobility on the court. That's why he's afraid to shoot. That's why blah, 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 blah. Just lie. How are they going to know? Like
nobody plays anyways.
The Wizards are dumb enough to trade for him. I'm telling you that right now. If you want to fucking rehab his image, the Wizards will do it for you, and they'll be like, "Oh no!" And then he'll fail.
Ben Simmons and Bradley Beal.
The best thing for Ben Simmons and for the Nets is to trade him to the Wizards because not only will he fail there, but people will blame the Wizards for it,
and he will fail in front of nobody.
Yeah. No one's going to those games.
Yeah, he'll fail in front of you.
Yeah, they're the team that broke him. Maybe they'll be the team that fixes him. Like Beal will teach him how to shoot. And
there's already a narrative
redemption arc.
Ernie Grunfield is calling this Wizards front office, telling him
bring back Scott Brooks and let's do this. I don't know what he's doing. He's probably like on a beach somewhere. He'll come back for $5 million a year.
He pulled
Ben Simmons faces off against Scott Brooks with his therapist a lot. I bet that's a big thing.
I'd be a fly on that wall.
Yeah.
Modai, any thoughts from you on how the Eastern Conference shakes out?
Yeah, I mean, like to me, I think like it's a clear top 4, and then there's like a line. I mean, a clear top 2, And then if you want to go farther, a clear top four with like
Mm-hmm.
Sixer or Celtics and Bucks are like clearly the best two. And then Sixers, Cavs, and then there's like a gap after them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the Heat have like confused me all year. I feel like they're like
I can't believe they're 5 games over 500. I feel like it was yesterday where I was like, man, the Heat suck.
Yeah, but like
they figured it out a little bit.
But so did the Knicks, and then the Knicks passed them. So that's kind of why like they're still like the way
Jalen Brunson has been playing a lot better.
And
he's had a really, really good year. The Mavs are kicking themselves about that.
And Josh Hart is like a perfect pickup. Like I love Josh Hart's great.
He's a glue guy. He does a lot of the little stuff.
Yeah,
he's a great shoot, which I feel like the Knicks always need. They always need shooters.
He's a shooter. I thought you said he's a Jew, and I was like, I don't think he is. I've seen Josh Hart. I'm pretty sure he's not a Jew.
Hell, New York would be a good spot for him.
That's true. I mean, he could be a Jew in the way that Kyrie Irving is a Jew. So
it's true.
That's true.
The Wizards will probably stay in the play-in game because they're one of the teams that actually want to. They want to like claim the playoff berth.
Yeah, because they're stupid. They're so stupid. Yeah, they've won 4 of their last 5, and they recently had a 6-game winning streak, and they're still below 500. So what the fuck?
28 and 30. I think the Pacers will drop out because they're like whatever. Like they had their fun run at the beginning. They know Halliburton's incredible.
Yeah. This is not the year for them. They're already far ahead of where they were supposed to be this year.
I still want the Magic to get into the 10 seed and then play the Celtics in the first round because the Celtics have still yet to beat the Magic.
That's another perfect playoff scenario.
Yeah. But I mean, like I don't like to me, the East, like if there's any other 4 teams in the semifinals of the conference semis, that's not Celtics, Bucks, Sixers, Cavs, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, it should be all 4 of those teams.
The ideal scenario for me is also the Raptors not making the playoffs after deciding that they were still in win now mode, despite being like 5 games under 500. Granted, Jakob Poeltl came to the team and his hit 98% of his shots and dropping like 30 points per game.
He needs to go back to Canada.
I guess I didn't know that was the thing, but even still, I want the Raptors to explode.
Yeah, they deserve it.
Yeah, they've had their success. They got their title. They're fine. Let's move on over to the West. Kind of similar to the East in that there's, a genuine contender at the top, the Nuggets, and then things kind of fall apart when you get under them. Memphis is at 35 wins. The Lakers are at 27 wins. So we're going to say the 2 seed down to the 13 seed because then there's a huge drop off before the Spurs. Is anyone going to fall out of this playoff race that's currently in it? Is anyone going to, bump people down a significant number of seeds? Are the Kings going to be able to maintain their 3rd seed status? Are the Clippers going to be able to go on a run with Russell Westbrook, or is he going to sink their playoff chances? What do we see happening here? Ferentinos, let's start with you.
I think ownership would like the Thunder to drop out of the playoff race. I think like SGA is killing it. I saw he takes 10 free throws a game and is shooting 91%, which might be like the highest free throws attempt while still shooting 90% free throws, which is crazy. But I could see them falling off just because I think they want that pick. And I don't see any, I mean, it'd be nice, like get playoff experience with that young team, but I still think that they think they're a year or 2 away, at least from really being competitors. The Wolves, I could see doing better. They're going to get fully healthy. Maybe they'll figure out their chemistry issues with Cat. I know Mike Conley did not have a great first game for the Wolves, though. So that was something that I thought he would be a lot better fit there, but we'll see how that works.
He still may be. I mean, we got to remember Conley's 35.
Yeah.
Like it's just one game.
Yeah. It's a small sample size, but he also, the fit might not be there anymore. I don't know.
And I think the Suns are going to be obviously now like the genuine contender at the top with the Nuggets. When we talk about like the tiers in the West, I think it's the Suns and then the Nuggets. They're going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting about the West is from the Clippers to the Warriors. So the 4 to the 9 seed, you can make the argument for every single team to move up in the standings almost because of health and getting people back. Like obviously the Suns with Durant, the Mavs with Kyrie, the Pelicans assume to get Zion back at some point. I don't think that this will help, but the Timberwolves will get Karl Anthony Towns back, and then the Warriors will get Steph. So like that's 6 teams that could legitimately make a reasonable argument that they should improve in the standings. So like to me, I think it's going to be fascinating who drops into the play-in game in the West, because like every single one of those teams wants to win that I named.
Or
and,
who
like,
ascends into the play-in game.
Yeah, I mean, Portland's right there. The Jazz conceivably right there. The Lakers are right below those two. If the
Griffin,
Lakers
how
are
the
playing
new
for the play-in, though, I think that's a failure. Like they are. I mean, granted,
what's your
if they
opinion
make it
on
to
the
the
new
play,
take Lakers? I was just curious too, like what you think of the team now.
the game they had just prior to the break, where everybody played, they looked like a powerhouse. They genuinely did. And I mean, granted, they beat a unhealthy Pelicans team, but I can't think off the top of my head of a lot of wins they've had this year by, I mean, they won by 18, but basically halftime hit and the Pelicans were not in that game anymore. That has not happened to the Lakers this year. Is it the smallest sample size? Yeah. So I'm not going to make any assumptions based on that. If they win tonight, they're going to beat an unhealthy Warriors team. They've got a pretty tough schedule coming up. I need to see them go on like a win streak. They need to win at least 3 or 4 straight before I'm willing to say anything about this team, because it could be fool's gold.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not a fan, but get them to 500 and then we'll chat. Is kind of my thoughts on the Lakers. And like, I mean, play the Warriors at home. The Warriors suck on the road, so they should.
They're so
should
bad
win
on
The
the road.
Warriors are
They're
7-22 on the road, and
Yeah, I
that's
was gonna
most of
say-
those wins are with Steph Curry. Without Steph Curry, without Andrew Wiggins, like who's scoring for that team? Your best scorer at that point is Klay Thompson or Jordan Poole. Maybe.
Poole, yeah.
Who's your best defender? The broken shell of Draymond Green? Like, who's going to defend LeBron James that entire game? Fucking nobody.
Or Anthony Davis.
Or Anthony Davis. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess Looney's not. He's not horrible. Looney's not bad.
Looney's good, but he fouls a lot.
Yeah. He's got he's not as good, but Jaren Jackson Jr. vibes where he just can't stay on the court.
Yeah, can't stay on the court. Great rebounder though when he wants to be. Yeah, I'm not saying that the Wizards are gonna, or the Lakers, excuse me, are gonna blow them out tonight. Although the prediction pick that I made for Odd Jam today, I did say that the Lakers are gonna blow them out tonight.
I took the Lakers.
I took the Lakers. The Lakers were -6 when I looked at them. I took a -8.
Damn.
I think they're gonna beat them, and I think they're gonna beat them convincingly. But just knowing this Lakers team, I could see them faltering in the fourth quarter and letting the Warriors back into it a little bit. But
and then the refs calling some BS call.
Yeah, they've got the Warriors, the Mavericks, the Grizzlies, and the Thunder in their next 4 games. I mean, every single one of those is not an easy game by any means. So win those games or go 3-1, and then we'll have a conversation about it.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
I was gonna say if the Lakers win, they're gonna be the headline in like almost every sports show. But then I realized if they lose, they'll also probably still be the headline at every show.
That's just that's the nature of the Lakers.
I was in a
Cowboys.
little bit of a Reddit argument with somebody yesterday because they were a Jazz fan and they were complaining about how the Lakers have so many more. The Lakers have 39 national TV games this year. The Jazz, I don't know how many they had this year.
It's because it's the Jazz.
But the year after they were the 1 seed, they had, I think, like 15 national TV games. And it's like, yeah, dude, you're in fucking Utah.
Yeah, it's the Jazz.
And then he was like, the Nuggets this year don't have that many either. And it's like, if you combine Denver and all of Utah, you have the amount of people that are literally only in LA, the city. Like, what? Why are you upset about this? More people are here.
Yeah.
And
like, they're the biggest team in American sports.
Yeah.
You just subscribe to the NBA Game Pass. It's not that much money. You can see every game.
Yeah, and then you get to watch really good Nuggets games and you get to watch really good Jazz games. And if you're a Lakers fan, you don't get to watch their games. So you're kind of losing out if you're a Lakers fan who doesn't have cable. Like me.
It's true.
Yeah. I have to illegally stream a lot of things.
Well, you can go to the games. You're close by.
Yeah, close by in LA. It's like an hour and a half to get there.
If you're not walking distance, you're not close.
Yeah,
I had one vacation in LA and I learned that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's a massive urban sprawl. Anybody else in the Western Conference that you think might move around? I like the Phoenix call out. I do think the Kings are going to drop a little bit. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up the 3rd seed pace.
Yeah, they got they're 1.5 games up on the Suns and then 1 game up on the Clippers. The thing, I think we mentioned this, the Kings have mostly just been healthy. So they've just been steady. That's why
they've been healthy and they've played less games than 4 teams behind them.
Yeah,
they're like 4.5 games under the Clippers in terms of number of games played.
Yeah,
Kevin
that's true.
Herter
That's
might
crazy.
psychologically be broken after that 3-point contest too.
It's true.
How
He
crazy
lost
would that be? How crazy would it be? Because people talk about this all the time with the dunk contest
in the
affecting
home run
Yeah.
derby.
guys. What if the 3-point contest gets rid of his fucking red velvet
We'll see how he
shooting streak?
starts.
Didn't that happen to somebody in the home run derby? Like I feel like he
Oh,
had
just
like
swinging too hard, swinging too fast.
It happens
and
to a
then you
lot of
saw
guys in
him.
the home run derby. Juan Soto went in the other direction. He had a really good home run derby, and he hit like 10 homers in the first half of the season, and then he hit like 28 in the second half. And he was like the home run derby fixed my swing. But it happens to guys all the time because they hurt themselves swinging so hard for like 6 straight minutes.
Yeah, or like mentally, like you're like, especially baseball with hitting, it's so your muscle memory has to be, it's like golf, it has to be perfect. Like you mess with that a little bit and you're just toast.
Yeah, if you're taking home run BP, like that's not how you're going to play a game. Like,
yeah,
I was
So,
going to
yes.
say, Griffin, between the Nats and the Nets, how many like superstars have left our teams? But I didn't even want to compare them because like the Nats is so much more sad because they were all homegrown superstars.
And they won a
like...
title.
They were homegrown. And then let's real quick, let's talk about baseball for a second. The Nats had at one time Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Juan Soto, not counting Max Scherzer, not counting Anthony Rendon, not counting any of those other guys. Trey Turner, Juan Soto, Bryce Harper finished 3 out of 5 MVP spots this past year. And they're literally 3 of the top 7 selling jerseys in the MLB. And they were all on the same team. And now none of them are.
And now 2 of them are on the same other team.
That's true. How do you fumble that so much?
Ownership, man. It's like the least fun thing to talk about, but sometimes the most, like if they had the Phillies owner, that Nats team would be together and they would have been competing for years after. If they had.
And I mean, it's not that the Nats didn't pay. There was a point in time where the Nats had like a top 3 payroll for like 4 or 5 years during those Bryce Harper contendership years. But like, sure, you win the title, all's well and good. Juan Soto's still on your team. Trey Turner's still on your team. Max Scherzer's still on your team. Like, continue to compete. What are you doing?
Yeah, they could have. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough. But I mean, you always have that title. If you like, just imagine the cheating Astros had won like that.
That was a great series.
Yeah.
That was a
Mote,
great
I imagine
series.
if the cheating Astros.
That's my point. And all
thank God the Phillies weren't the ones trying to take down the bad guys. My God.
Yeah. That would have been terrible.
Oh, you guys are going to win one. It's going to suck to watch, but you're going to win one.
Hey, shout out to Philly winning a championship. Mac McClung won the dunk
I think
contest.
he broke the curse.
Did they give him? Did they sign him to a full deal? Are they going to sign him to a full deal?
To a 2-way, and they literally did that for the like. He's been on their G League team all year. They're just like, oh, we need someone for the dunk contest. Sure, we'll give him a 2-way spot.
Well, he's going to make more money in the next 20 games than he's made in his career thus far. So good for him.
Yeah, I mean, like,
and I think you get $1 million for winning the dunk contest.
That I don't know.
You get something. You get something for winning. I don't remember what it is. Because
he's like, hell yeah, I'll practice my dunks. $1 million.
And then the home run derby, you get $1 million. Because I remember when Big Meat Pete won like 2 out of 3 years, he made more money in the home run derby than he did in all of his Mets contracts up to that point.
That's crazy.
Big Meat Pete is a hell of a nickname.
It's a great nickname. Yeah,
you can't just casually throw that out
Nick
in a basketball podcast and expect for everybody to understand.
I mean, do you have a Nick Foles jersey somewhere in that room? Because
I do, but Big Dick Nick won a Super Bowl MVP. Big Meat Pete.
Big Meat Pete just has a huge penis.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to have something. I think his actual nickname is like the Polar Bear or something. But like between those 2 nicknames, which one are you gonna choose?
The Polish Hammer. Who was the guy that?
Gortat's the Polish Hammer.
Yeah.
No, there's Aaron Baines. I think. Remember, like some reporter.
Oh yeah, they said he had the size of all of Australia. Or
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I saw him in the showers.
Yeah. Like
Everyone
this is the
like,
inside access.
You can't say this on TV. But he's like a 7'2" Australian man. Like
I don't.
It would be upsetting, I think, to humanity as a whole if that was not the case. Yeah. The
proportions just would be.
They got to make sense. They got to make sense. I don't really want to talk about anything else now that we've talked about athletes' dick sizes. If you guys ever want to talk about Serge Ibaka, I don't know if we've talked about this on the pod. Search Serge Ibaka sweatpants on Google and then go to image.
I have not actually. I remember Greg Oden.
Yeah. Google while we're here, Google Serge Ibaka sweatpants.
Well, I mean,
Why don't you Google Brett Favre while you're at it too? For a
well, that's not impressive.
Brett Favre was everything that we could have expected him to be.
Yeah. Or John, have you seen like Jonathan Allen for the Commanders? He has the same thing. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Serge Ibaka.
Yeah.
Serge Ibaka at one point was on a championship contending team. He's handsome. Let's call it what it is. He's like 6'10". He's built as fuck. He's a good basketball player. He's rich as shit. And he has that in his pants. Like, that's not fair. What the fuck?
Yeah, the Jonathan Allen.
And he's like,
doesn't he have like a
trilingual, and he
cooking
speaks
show?
French. He does also have a cooking show. So, like,
Yeah.
really,
It's
what
like
are the
with
rest of us
weird
doing?
foods, right? Or like more unique foods, I guess.
Yeah, he makes them eat like grasshoppers and stuff.
Oh.
And I think he's done like snake blood. Yeah, he's
And
had
then
like
he
other
shows on
NBA
this
players
dick.
on before. Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I didn't know that.
That's where Giannis made fun of him and called him trash.
Oh,
Because he
yeah,
tried to
yeah.
make Giannis eat something Giannis didn't want to eat, and he was like, "You're a role player."
so I'm not eating this.
You can't
Yeah.
make me eat.
Yeah, you can't do that. And then I think Serge was off the team soon after that. So
Yeah.
don't piss off Giannis. All right, let's get out of here. Make sure if you're watching this video, you like us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe if you have not done so already. Comment below your favorite NBA players and their penises, or just whatever you want to comment.
Just your
Comment
favorite
anything below.
penises.
Just comment your favorite dicks, guys. Just tell us who your favorite dicks are. And we'll be back next week, hopefully talking about this week of games, and we might see some shakeup in both the Eastern and the Western conferences. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, we'll see you all next time.
See ya.
Peace.